y'all, and welcome to my channel, Kitchen Notes from Nancy. If you're new here, I'd like to welcome you to our neighborhood, and I hope you decide to subscribe before you leave. And if you're already a part of our neighborhood by being subscribed, I'd like to greet you with the customary, hey neighbor! And tonight, I am featuring one of my absolute most favorite soups there is. The recipe that I'll be sharing with you tonight is a dupe for Olive Garden's Zuppa Toscana soup. So, if you want to know how to make this awesome soup, then stay tuned. Alright guys, so tonight we will be doing what is easily one of my favorite soups. Every time I go to Olive Garden, I make sure to get this soup. And if you haven't guessed yet, it is going to be the Zuppa Toscana soup. I'm going to show you how to make it really quick and easy, and the ingredients are super easy. And you just need sausage, you're going to need onion. Here I have black pepper, Italian seasoning, salt, red pepper flakes, garlic, chicken broth, potatoes, and then I have bacon pieces. Now, a lot of people like to fry up their bacon, but when I want to make it really quick, I use the bacon pieces that are already done. They're already cooked, and you just throw them in and they have that same flavor, and I absolutely love them. The only thing that I did forget to sit out here is the heavy cream, so I'll grab it real quick and then we will hop right into making this delicious and easy recipe. We're gonna start by putting a little bit of olive oil in the pan. I had about a teaspoon in there, about a tablespoon in there, and I just added about another tablespoon. Now, some people will render the fat out of some bacon, but because I'm using the real bacon pieces, we get to skip that step and we go right into frying out the sausage. Now, I didn't discuss this when I was going through the ingredients, but I'm using the premium pork sausage from Appleton Farms from Aldi. My version of this soup can easily be converted to a paleo or a whole 30 soup. When I've done both of those, I've had this soup. And that's why I like this sausage, because if you look at the ingredients, this sausage from Aldi is actually whole 30 approved. This one is. So you can easily omit the heavy cream, and then everything else, if you can find some uncured bacon, can make it, you can easily convert it to paleo or whole 30. So that's what I like about it. You can do either version. Tonight I'm just doing the regular version, so this version will have heavy cream in it, but you know, you can just do whatever you see fit. Now, the reason why we're going to use the Italian seasoning is because this is just pork sausage. Now, it has some spices in it, but they're not necessarily Italian spices. So, since that's the case, we are going to add in some Italian spices of our own. And so I'm gonna turn this heat down just a little bit to kind of a medium low. And this soup starts to smell good right out of the gate. It smells absolutely delicious. So now what I'm going to do here, because this isn't an Italian sausage, I'm going to take those Italian seasonings, and here I'm just using the Great Value organic version of the Italian seasoning, and I'm gonna sprinkle some in there, probably about a tablespoon or so. Alright, right, so put those seasonings in there, give that just a stir, and we are just going to let this brown. So that's our goal, just to let it brown a little bit. Well, let it brown all the way, not a little bit. I'm gonna turn that heat back up just a little. Alrighty, y'all. So our sausage is done. So we're just going to take it out of the pan and put it to the side. And that's one of my favorite things about this. It is a one pot meal. So you don't have to cook everything in separate pots. You cook everything right here in this one pot. We're going to just try to get most of this sausage down. You can use 1 pack of sausage if you would like. I just like a lot of meat in my soup, so I use 2. That's the thing about it. When you make it at home, you get to make it to your liking. Now, if you look in the bottom, there's a good amount of oil. So I'm going to drain some of this off because the meat that I took, the sausage that I took out, has some oil, just a little bit of oil, and you probably see a little residual meat in there. It's fine in the bottom of the pan. And what I'm going to do now is I took half of an onion and chopped it up. And I'm going to saute this onion until it's translucent, which is not going to take long, probably about 3 or 4 minutes, because I can already, you know, smell that oniony flavor. So we're going to give that just a few minutes. All right, so that's a good spot for the onion. I let them go for about 3 minutes. Now I'm about to add in some garlic. And y'all know that I just used the jarred minced garlic. But I did see something at Aldi last night that I think I'm going to start using. They have this pre-peeled garlic. It comes in like this little bag. And I think I might try that. I don't know, see if it offers, you know, a different taste profile than my minced garlic, but I'm going to just go ahead and tell y'all, I probably will never be about that peeling and chopping garlic life, okay? It's just one of the things that I just really don't like doing. All right. So we don't want that garlic to burn or get bitter. We just want to get it kind of fragrant there. So to the onions and garlic, I am going to dump my potatoes in, and I just cut up, this is about 6 or 7 medium sized potatoes. So, you know, just kind of judge for yourself, but it's about 6 or 7 medium sized potatoes. And then I am going to go in with 4 cups of the low sodium chicken broth. And you want to make sure you use a low sodium chicken broth because that sausage has a good bit of a fairly high salt content. And then the bacon is going to carry with it some salt content. So you don't want your soup to be too salty. You can always add salt, but it's very, I mean, it's impossible to take it out once you've over salted. So now I just filled up my chicken broth container with water, and I'm just adding in about 2 cups. I think I'm gonna add in a little bit more. Because you want to ensure that you have a broth for your soup. So I'm adding in about 3 cups of water to go with that. And I'm going to give it a stir. Alright. Now to this, I know I want to add well, that was Italian seasoning and I was going to add it. That's fine. It was just, I was saying that I was going to add in black pepper. So I'm gonna add in some black pepper. I'm gonna put just a tinge of the Himalayan pink salt. And the thing about this is it doesn't salt your food like the regular table salt does. So even though it looks like I did a good little bit of shakes there, the flavor of it is completely different because it's such a pure form of the salt. There's a little bit of heat in my sausage and I don't want it too hot, but I'm just gonna give a shake of red pepper flakes. I mean, it is not even almost, if you look at it, I can't even tell you that that's 1/4 of a teaspoon because it's not. It is just a little bitty shake, and you're gonna have to do that to your liking. I don't want it super spicy, and so that's why I'm not adding a lot. And we are going to be done. We're done. We're going to let these potatoes boil, but I wanted that water, well, the broth of the potatoes flavored really well because that's the base of this soup, especially with me not frying that bacon out and using that bacon grease. This is my foundation, which I am going to get the taste of the bacon. I'm just going to get it a little bit differently. So we're going to just cover this up and I'm going to let it boil. It'll probably take it about 20 minutes or so to get them fork tender, and then we will be almost done. We're just gonna put the last pieces together. Okay, so while we're waiting on our potatoes, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up my kale, and I like to use the curly leaf kale, but you can use the flat leaf kale. You can even use spinach if you want to. So it's just up to your personal preference. And I just strip it off of the stem, much like I do my collard greens. So I take most of the big stem and I strip it off, and then I'm just left with kind of the leaf. And the only thing that I do, this cutting board is kind of small here, but the only thing that I do is take it and literally just give it a rough chop. It's nothing super pretty or anything because it's going to wilt down a little bit once we put it in that hot water or that hot broth. So I don't do a lot to it. So for this, I just stripped it off and I washed it 3 or 4 times just to make sure there wasn't any dirt or bugs or anything on it. And it's pretty much good to go. That's why I say this soup is relatively inexpensive to make, and it's actually pretty healthy. Like, there's not a whole lot of extra stuff, and if you need to make it paleo or Whole30 or anything like that, you definitely can without many tweaks on it. So that's what I like about it. And even if you do need to substitute the heavy cream for something like almond milk or coconut milk, and I'm gonna tell you something else that I used to like to do. I'm not a big coconut milk fan, so what I would do for this particular soup is I would take some of the potatoes out and put them in a food processor and make them really smooth and creamy, and then I would put it back in. And it would give me that creamy texture. I would do that with my potato soups as well. And it would give me that creamy texture without having to deal with the almond milk or the coconut milk. So that's just one way that I used to do this, you know, when I needed to make it a little bit healthier. So we're just gonna sit this right here and then wait for those potatoes, and we'll put the rest of it together. Our potatoes have been going for about 20 minutes and they are good and tender. You see how my nail just went straight through it. So what I like to do a little bit, and I'm not gonna use an actual potato masher, but I like to mash some of them up just a little bit to break them up. And then I'll keep some of them kind of in that shape that I cut. So I like to mash them up just a little bit so that when I'm eating, I get some whole pieces and I get some small pieces. So now we are going to take that bowl of kale and get it all in here. And kale really shrinks down, you know, just like any other green. Once that hot liquid hits it, it really shrinks down. So we're going to get the kale in. All right. And it's not going to take long for that kale to get tender. And I'm going to go ahead and put our sausage back in. And that's going to give time for all of those flavors to just kind of marry together. And on a cold night like tonight, so if you know anything about Alabama's weather, you know that oftentimes we can go through all 4 seasons in a week. Sometimes we go through all 4 seasons in a day. Well, last week was one of those weeks where it was extremely hot one day, like almost 75, almost 80 degrees it seemed like. We had tornadoes and thunderstorms and all kinds of things. Well, this week, the current temperature outside is about 28 degrees. So when we woke up this morning, it was about 25. So Alabama is definitely doing that Alabama thing of having crazy weather. And so this soup is great for a night like tonight where you just want something warm and hearty to warm up your belly. So now I am about to take my little cheat, my little shortcut here. Well, if I can get the bag open. There we go. So I'm about to take my shortcut with my bacon bits. Now, if you want to fry out your bacon, please feel free. I just didn't, you know, want to be bothered with that tonight. So I just added in probably about a cup of these bacon bits. And I'm going to give that a stir. And I've done this before, y'all, and it makes no difference, really. It makes no major difference. Whether I had cooked it or used those bacon bits. So I'm gonna use just a little bit more. I like to see that bacon in there. Now I'm gonna put the top back on this for about 5 minutes and just let all of this mesh together. And then the final thing that I'll do is add in that heavy cream. And the reason why I'm waiting, you don't want a substance, like you don't want cream or your milks or anything like that to boil when you're cooking. So I want this kale to kind of cook a little bit, and so I'm gonna let it boil for about 5 minutes. So since I don't want my heavy cream to boil, I'm not going to add it just yet. All right, now for the final stages. That kale has cooked, that bacon has seasoned this nicely. I'm actually going to turn the heat off of it. And now I'm going to take my heavy cream. If you hear noise, that's just Legend getting his dinner. I'm fixing our dinner. And so I went ahead and fed Legend. So it's just him eating and drinking his water. Can't get the top off my heavy cream. There we go. So now I'm going to add in about a cup of this heavy cream. And ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. A nice Zuppa Toscana soup. I promise you, if you make this, you will not be disappointed at all. It is absolutely fabulous. You can taste it at this point and tweak it to your liking. I like to add cheese to mine separately because my husband doesn't really like a lot of cheese, so I load my bowl up with cheese when I get it. But y'all definitely give this a try and let me know how it turns out. And like I said, it's inspired by the Olive Garden recipe, but this is, you know, kind of how I do it, the couple tweaks that I made to make it work for me. And as always, thank y'all so much for visiting Kitchen Notes from Nancy. We're almost at 4,000, so the growth was outstanding at the end of the year. So once my health gets situated here, we're going on a major push. I have a number in mind for where I'm trying to go, and we're going to make that push to get there, and I can't get there without y'all. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Don't forget, like, share, comment, subscribe, and until next time,